Good to know.
Gosh, sorry. Welcome to VR Jungle Havoc Podcast. This is your host, Garreltsy. Sorry, Kuss was like coughing or something in the background right when we were going live. Kind of caught me off guard. Had me giggling. So anyways, welcome to episode 70. It's crazy to believe that we are episode 70. This is the Monday before Easter. So happy early Easter, because we will not be talking to you until next Monday. And I'm also probably not going to do my Sunday Spotlight podcast on Sunday. I'm probably either going to skip it or I'm going to do it on Saturday, which call it Sunday Spotlight Podcast. Call it Saturday for an Easter edition. But with me as well is my lovely co-host, Kuss. As always, It is just him and I today. No guests, so we are going to sit here today and talk about our experience with VR. And potentially, if you are new and you want to maybe dabble into VR, you might want to listen to this, and it might help you kind of persuade your decision to go to virtual reality. So let's talk about our affiliates really quick, and then we will go into our discussion.
The W Cup first.
Oh, the W Cup. They can't see you. You'll have to wait till we get to the big screen, because right now we're tiny little people. Oh, why is our chat not working? Remind me I need to fix the chat, because the chat didn't work. But anyways,
welcome, Lucas.
Yeah, welcome, Lucas. So we have ProTube, our number one gun stock company that we use for first-person shooters. We have W, our number one energy. Kuss and I use it to get all hypergenic before we get into these podcasts. He's
hypergenic.
Hypergenic. Yep, I'm making new words up. We got Ruck Up, who we get our decals from. And then we also have their Pro head strap as well that we use, and you can see on my stream, it's the one that I use as well. And then we have VR cover, and the cool thing about them is instead of using the covers that come with your headset that are usually foam and they become very disgusting over a couple sweats and they just harvest bacteria, they actually made a leather called PU leather that actually is more, hypoallergenic, healthier, right? So go check out all those links in the description. Since we don't have a guest today and we don't have any news, I just have our website pulled up. If you don't know, that VR Jungle is actually owned by Esports Havoc, which Kuss and I are also owners of. So you can also find our information for our home. You can find out below what teams we have. We're actually adding teams. I'm actually updating this tonight with our rosters and things like that. If you say, hey, what's the Breachers team? You can go over here, click on the Breachers team, and it'll show you the roster. It'll tell you about us section. I get to add Kuss's pretty little face on the about section for as an owner, since the ownership has changed. That's cool. You get to see our store. We actually just opened up a store that I will be adding on there for new shirts. We'll have Havoc shirts, VR Jungle shirts. We have my Twitch shirt, and then eventually, if Kuss gets an image that he wants out there, we'll put his shirt out there. And then everyone else that's part of our stream team, if they want a shirt out there, we'll put it out there. All the proceeds goes to giveaways. We do not keep it. I reinvest all of that money back into Havoc to give back to the community. And then we have our affiliate section, and we have the VR Jungle podcast section. Oh, look, we have some people stuff popping up on the chat. That's super weird. It's probably weird late delay. So anyways, Let's go over to the main screen here. Live scene. Okay. All right, now we're nice and beautiful. Now you can show your cup.
Yes. So, I have a nice little shaker cup here. And I do have another shaker cup that is going to be given away at our next giveaway. All by me. It's a nice one. It's in my closet. It's black and white, I think.
I thought it was red.
Yeah. No, mine's the black and red one.
Okay.
No. Actually, wait, you're right. It's red and green.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
All it is.
All right. So, how was your weekend before we get into discussion?
Working. Very good.
Very good.
I heard I fell off a truck today with a straight leg, and instead of where you bend leg, you might not hurt your knees. I hurt my knee. I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm great.
Nice.
You know how it is. accident prone and stuff.
Yeah, I played hours of video games in VR. I played Tabor as much as possible before it really aggravated and pissed me off.
Oh, well, we're getting a wipe soon, Friday.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever. A lot of people are pissed off about it. And then it's just like, and the funny thing is that on Twitter, I noticed that like people bitched about it, and it's just like instead of just like being chill, like, hey, our game is broke because of the items in your base, we have to wipe it so we can, the bugs go away. And instead, and Scott puts the little dash Scott, so people know that it's from him. He just says like the most arrogant like statement ever to them. It's just like, well, we gotta fucking do it. We gotta do it. And it's just like, dude, it's like, can you give him a better explanation of like, just hey, like the reason why your shit is floating is because it's bugged out, and we just want to wipe it so we can make your experience better.
They did tweet that, hey, we do have to have wipes eventually at multiple times throughout the beta test because, and they went down the list.
Oh, I know. I can literally, it's so funny. I can like take any item on my stored area and throw it at a certain angle and make it float. And so I did the Sunday Spotlight podcast yesterday. It was all over Ghost of Tabor. And so if people are interested to know about the game, you can go check that out. But before I did the podcast, I had to go into my safe house the night before and clean all the shit that I made float.
Yeah. I think you told me about that.
I kept one floating thing, which was my floating can, which I'll never move. I mean, it'll go away during white, but I had one floating can in my actual like room in my base that I'm just like, you're gonna stay right there.
I had so much gear from all the bosses I've killed that I just like run silo with it, and I've been doing the player kill grinding, and just oh my god, the poor silo boys. Whoever goes to silo when I was there.
Yeah, no, dude, I had like a great experience on the podcast in silo because it's like I loaded to the game and I was like trying to explain things about the game throughout the podcast through, because you're talking a lot. It's a podcast. It's not like my streams where I just wait for someone to chat. And right off the rip, someone comes in, real person. I have to gun them down. And I'm like, yeah, so that was a real person. They're scavs. And all of a sudden, 3 scavs come running into the room. And I'm just like, what in the world's going on? So I get their stuff. And next thing I know, I see 2 lasers. And I'm like, okay, the only thing in this game that has lasers are actual people right now.
Humans,
the scavs don't have. Yeah. And so I catch them off guard. I kill those 2. Their lasers were on their helmet, which that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life because it was
flashlights would be cool.
Yeah, the flashlights are good, but they had the laser on their helmet, and I'm just like, you were a dead giveaway. And so all my stuff.
The only helmets I use are either the boss helmet, which is the Mickey Mouse head, or the Alton helmet.
Yeah.
So it's got the face masks, and even then, if somebody has an AP, you're gonna die either way. But it protects you against noobs. So
what
I use.
Yeah, and so his helmet had like the top NVG, the actual like most expensive one. I think it's like level 4.
The quad knots.
Yeah. And so I was trying to get off the helmet, but I had the spinning rotation of death. So it was just spinning on the helmet like this in my hand. I'm like, shit. So I just put it on my head. They fixed that
for the most part.
Yeah, it was doing it yesterday. And I was just trying to get the laser to turn off, so I was in an area where people could still see me, and all of a sudden I'm like, crap, that's a real fucking person. And then sure enough, killed me, and that was my silo run. I go, well, that's Ghost of Tabor for you all right there, that you can literally mow down some people, get some really kick-ass loot, and then instantly fucking die. And so, and then I showed them other thing. I ran into a cheater as well. I don't know. I told people in the comments to look at the footage and tell me if it was a cheater or not.
So, players where they're aiming and where they have their gun is not represented properly in the game right now. It wasn't
really?
Cheater, I can tell you. Yeah, it's. I have a friend, Mike, who I play with constantly. When he's running around, his gun looks like he's pointing at the roof. So it's not a cheater, I promise you.
Because the way it looked to me is that he was going forward, gun was forward, and I got one shot in the head from distance, dude. From distance.
I can say
watch the footage.
It's quite. Maybe okay. I'll watch it. All right. So, but let's get into the
discussion. So,
well, the first question for you and me that we'll go over, and then Hydra or anybody else in the comments if you have questions, add them to the list. What was the first game you played in VR?
My first game of VR, Population 1.
Really?
Yep, that's what got me
And
into
what
VR.
was it? Well, mine was Pavlov, unsurprisingly.
So like the thing is is that when I got my headset, the actual first game I actually loaded into was a free game that came on it on my things. I didn't know anything about it. So my first actual experience that kind of like it was kind of nutty was Echo because it was free and it just loads onto your Quest right off the bat. So I was in Echo and then I'm like, all right, I want to play some games. So I downloaded Population One, and then I always watched a whole bunch of videos about Beat Saber. So I downloaded Population One and Beat Saber, and so I played
Never
those
played
games.
that game. That's not a game I like.
Yeah,
If you want to technically count it, my first official VR game was the Army's Drone Buster game.
Drone
So
Buster. See, but your experience was a little bit different than my experience, just in the sole fact that
I was getting
you,
paid for mine.
yeah, and so you got PC VR. I got Quest, and because the only reason why I think I've told this story a couple times on this podcast is the reason why I got even into VR. I was never gonna buy VR. I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. I thought it was I literally thought it was like the old school thing. This is because my age is about to show. I thought it was like the red and blue lenses and things just fucking jumped out at you like in the old movies. I don't know if
The
you
3D, yeah, the 3D game.
Yeah, I thought it was like that. And so
No.
COVID happened. PlayStation 5 just dropped. I wanted one. I couldn't find it. And all the games that I wanted to play at high level, you need to either have a PC or a PlayStation 5 in order to get through people's they're like kind of what's that thing? They were able to move faster. They were able to.
Frame rates.
Yeah. They were
Okay,
able
gotcha.
to frame rate me and
That's
beat
always
me.
gonna be a thing.
Always
from,
a thing.
From
But
console to
PlayStation
PC.
5 was actually compatible to where it was actually competing with moderate PCs.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't able to get a PlayStation 5. No one could unless you wanted to pay a stupid amount of money for it. And so I was in Best Buy and I see one Oculus headset. It was the 256 gig, and I was just like,
Fuck it.
I because it's like I got it at Target. And so with Target, if you have 30 days, if you don't like it, you just take it back.
You return it, yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? I'll try this for 30 days. If I don't like it, then whatever. I'll get my money back. I put that damn headset on, and I just instantly fell in love, and I'm just like,
haven't taken it off since.
This is the future. I'm not joking. My jaw dropped, and I'm like my first game of Population One, I'm just like, holy shit, I need to get into the esports scene like now. And so I created a Discord, but it wasn't just Havoc back in the day. My very first Discord that I made was called Population One Community for Everyone. And then there I had tournaments. I ran tournaments there. And so when I ran my first tournament, there's a lot of people in the scene that were also trying to run tournaments. And so they came to me. They're just like, who are you? Who are you that thinks that you can run tournaments when we're trying to run tournaments? And I was like, look here.
I don't give a shit about you.
You look here, you buttheads. I'm doing it because I've been 15 years in esports and you're 16 years old. So I will figure this out quicker than you. And then I just made a team, and then for a while we had the number one team in Population One, and then bad dealings happened. Someone came and then wiped the whole team, took the whole team, just because of like a non-toxic. Because I believe in the non-toxic policy. I wrote the non-toxic policy for Havoc, and they wanted to break it. Like they were so weird about. They wanted to be toxic, and I'm just like, sorry, if you're toxic, you're kicked, and they all left. So that was kind of it. And so, but you said you were getting paid for VR?
No, for the Army's version of VR.
Oh.
So I got to play the Army's version of VR, which was cool.
Oh,
it was
cool.
PC.
Oh, that's
it was
still pretty
PC
cool.
VR.
Yeah.
It was. That's actually what got me into it. I was like, I saw it. I played it when I was going on deployment. Before I left, and then I came back and I was like, I kind of want to get into this because it's really fucking cool. And the only thing I had overseas with me was my Xbox, my trusty old Xbox. I don't have it anymore. That poor thing died. It's seen more than 3 countries, so you know.
Yeah. So
how's the trooper?
That VR, the game that they had for the military, are you allowed to talk about it, or is it kind of like
confidential?
Okay, because I just wanted to know like if we know
it's like a simulator game. We'll put it that way. It's not shooting people or anything. It's more of how to
situations.
put it. yeah, it's situations on how to use a certain type of equipment that the army
Yeah,
owns, which I
yeah.
could talk about. It's called the drone buster,
Okay.
and basically all it does is it disables equipment. That's
Yeah.
it.
So that's actually a pretty cool story why you got in the VR. That like, hey, I was in the military, I got to test it out, and since then the military.
Oh, my buddy actually just posted pictures. He got a VR headset that he was doing like actual combat situations with.
Oh
Really
really?
fucking cool. Yeah. So him and his whole squad was doing like armored troop carrier operations, stuff like that.
That's pretty cool. I have to move
Army's
these
getting
before.
smart with it.
Yeah, I know. I have to move these before I knock them over. I have to put this many code cards from all my decks I just opened up.
God, dude, what the fuck?
That's the second half. I have another half that I just put in. It was like over 200 key codes I got to put in. Yeah, but anyways,
My first real experience of VR was Pavlov, like I said though, and he was a pretty knowledgeable guy at the time, but I had just this yearn for more, and I kept upgrading and upgrading to where
yeah,
I'm at now and have the Valve Index. I just loved Pavlov so much because of the capabilities that you're able to do. Then I stepped into like H3 VR and other games where it's like hyper realistic, but there's no combat to it
yeah.
at the moment because it's just a simulator pretty much. And he doesn't want it to be multiplayer or combat simulated, so sucks. But
Yeah. But I think as we get further down the road, I think they'll open more things to the masses. Like, for instance, you see like Ghost of War. That is like the top level thing where it's going to come to realism for war. But then you have other things like
I don't think it represents one to one. I think it's similar. Yes, it has that level of.
it's still a game. That's the whole thing though. It's still a game.
I think it's too arcade-like to even be considered realistic.
Hmm.
Because yes, you can attach all the items to it. Yes, your bullets have certain stuff to it, but I think it's a little unrealistic in its standards of where it's like, hey, you can air strafe. If you don't know what air strafing is, you can jump in the air and you can move around in the air
Yeah.
using your thumbsticks.
You could
That's
also
kind
drop
of
shot too. I drop shot some other day so quick that they didn't know what the hell
well,
just happened.
I can stand and then drop onto my back and
You
shoot people
you're
in real life.
wait till you're 30, man. You can't gonna do
Oh
that.
no, I have knee problems as is and
Yeah,
back problems, but that's because of the army.
dude.
Thank you, army.
If there is if there's not a crouch button in a game, I don't play it.
Lame. You're
I'm
missing out.
Dude, I do CrossFit, and that's enough for me. I don't need to be playing a game and crouching, okay? And I want to talk about Hodge's comment right here. He said that he started with VR chat. A lot of people actually did that.
VR chat got me in at dark times.
Especially during like COVID, when people couldn't go out and speak. My dog is making the weirdest noise. But when people couldn't go out and actually socialize, VR chat was a major outlet for people that got into VR. I know so many people that originally just got into virtual reality because a lot of people were scared of getting COVID, giving it to their friends, their family. So they're just like, I don't want to go anywhere, and I don't want to deal with wearing a mask or being socializing or anything like that. So they just bought a virtual reality headset, went to VR chat or like Rec Room if if you're a younger person, and that was a good form of socializing. I tell a lot of people.
I used to be part of a lot of the clubs there, and I knew a lot of the owners. So
Yeah.
it was kind of,
It's pretty cool.
yeah.
Dude, I didn't know. Just a funny thing, just because I like weird things, is that there's freaking cults in VR chat. There's some weird backdoor stuff that happens in VR chat that,
Well, let's not get on that.
yeah, it is some weird stuff.
Definitely not for the faint-hearted, though. We'll put it that way.
And yeah, it is some weird. And I had somebody
Weird
one day like tell me about all the stuff that goes on there. I'm just like,
I love how
you guys do you.
like sophisticated their games have gotten in their like personal games
Hmm.
that they've ripped, but it's actually just map makers. But there's a lot of games in there that are surprisingly evolved over the years
Yeah.
of VR chat, and it's honestly you could consider it a mini game simulator.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's where the original Among Us got started at, was in VR chat. No, was
Yeah,
it?
VR
Oh,
chat,
was it
VR
Rec Room?
chat, VR chat.
VR chat, yeah. Because I remember playing it, and it was the funniest thing ever. Because I actually played that, and You didn't have to be one of the Among Us characters. You can actually be one of the people.
Yeah.
And like some of
It's
them,
kind of cheap because you could do bigger characters, and
yeah,
it would break the map, but you could kill people across the map.
yeah. Well, the funny thing is, like some of the characters you can mount, and this I still remember this today. Some person came up to me, he's like, hey, get on my back, get on my back. I'm just like, you're not the killer, are you? He's like, no. Even if you're on my back, I can't stab you or anything because I'm too big. You're on my back. So I hop on his back, and he takes me into the freaking air ducts. I'm just like sitting there, and I'm just like,
Wait a second.
dude, he's the killer. And I'm sitting there just laughing my ass off. He's like, we're about to kill somebody. Don't worry. You're safe. You're on my back. I'm like, what in the world is going on
Well,
here?
like, my favorite characters were the Titans because you could actually open your cockpit and people can get in. Oh, so cool.
That's funny. So,
There's a lot of skins and stuff that were really cool too.
So, but for someone that's listening to this, like, what would be the biggest key thing for investing into VR? Is it the fact that it is starting to become cheaper, that it just because it probably is the future of gaming? So
I think the biggest lucrativeness to VR right now is the ability to connect with people a lot more personally, through via VR chat or the like. Yes, there is the bad eggs and stuff, but still, the personal connections you can make is very good. And if you want more of the gaming side, you have that, and you don't need an expensive headset to do that either. Like you were saying, it's very easy to make, play games and have that VR connectiveness. If you have even just a Quest 2, the connectiveness is very similar to what you could do on PC. You just might not be able to run Discord and stuff. But even then,
coming soon, though.
Desktop.
It is coming soon.
Could have virtual desktop and other stuff. But like, if you are just in it for a couple things, I would do it for mostly the connectivity, because you could meet friends in person. Not obviously in person, but it's
different than pancake gaming.
It's a different experience.
Yeah,
you actually get to see people's hand gestures, their movements. Like, I talk with my hands a lot.
Yeah, and that's why I like things like that. I wish I wish there was an area in your play area where you can actually bring people in and say, hey, you're getting ready to play a game or discuss games, because there's no open chats where you can actually do that. It's like for Quest,
I think it would.
You have to go to an actual game. You think
I think it's too demanding. Yeah, because not only would you have to have a room, which then would have to transfer into a game, and then you'd have to set up the lobby. I think it's logistically not possible. However, it would be cool.
All you need is a server for yourself.
I mean, just do VR chat at that point, because then you can make a personal server.
Yeah. I'm just talking about when it comes to partying, because for me to have communications people, especially just you throwing out the game Ghost of War, I don't want to use the in-game chat. I have to go through Discord.
I hate the in-game chat.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I dislike it.
Yeah.
I do like the open mic to the world. However, their mute system is not working right now, and it kind of sucks because I hate being unmuted.
Oh, just go in and go true, false, true. That's all I do. It works.
Yeah, but I have to do it every raid, and I hate it.
Yep, me too. Yeah, I agree. But
that's what I hate about it. Hopefully, they fix it with this next patch. I'm excited. Please.
Who knows, man? It's
but VR as a whole has mentally helped me a lot. Back when I was in not the brightest of days, but we'll not get into that. However, I would like to say that if you're an introvert, it's perfect for it. I'm an introverted extrovert. So I have my moments where I'm like, yes, party. And then I'm like, oh, I want to be alone. Fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely see what you mean. I think, even people now, even though that COVID is kind of behind us and people can actually go out and socialize and stuff, some people still don't want to go out and socialize. That's what the world has come to especially where even these younger generation of kids, they sit in their houses all the time because either their parents are helicopter parents, they're terrified of the world, or the kid just doesn't want to go outside because there are too many damn things inside to do, like tablets, video games, and stuff like that keep them from going outside. It's not like how I grew up in the 90s. We had a Nintendo, and that was it, and then so we just went outside all the goddamn time. But now, it's just you lose social skills from not going outside all the time. So if you were wanting to communicate with people, but not have to go out and spend money or actually get dressed. You know, you
And
could do
my
all
favorite
this
part, you don't
naked
have
if you
to
wanted
like
to.
in VR chat. You don't even have to talk to people. You can just write, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, is it a barrier of some type? Yeah, but it's what your personal comfortability, you know.
Hmm.
And then even in games, right? Like, I wouldn't have met my team or my team members if I didn't play the game and have like actual conversations with people in mid match, you know, just fucking around. Hey, I like these guys. I'm gonna go hang out with them via their Discord servers or etc. So like there's so much interpersonalness that can be had over VR that is not necessarily in pancake gaming, if
Yeah.
you will.
So, what would be like a major factor that you would think that someone that would be watching this podcast that plays pancake games that would they're just like, oh, what's one phrase that you'd be like, okay, that's gonna make them leave pancake game? Like, I'm not saying you have to leave it. You can still do it. I still pancake game, but like, what would be the main reason to drop the controller and go into virtual reality?
I think it's a lot more physically demanding. Whether that be good or bad for some people, because a lot of people don't like sitting at the desk all day, and I'm part of that, however many percent. I just feel like there's a lot more capabilities as a standing up and playing versus, or if you're accessibility, if you have to sit down and play, it's still a thing. But it gets you up and moving
Mm-hmm.
when you're in those spells of like, I want to play games, but I don't want to be lazy all day, because you can go play those games like Beat Saber you were saying earlier. My God, the amount of fucking sweating you do. I've played
Yeah.
it, don't like it. I didn't buy it myself, but cool experience, got me working out. Like there's many other games like that, and there's many things to tease your brain too, like to actually make you think like, hey, how do I get to the next goal?
Yeah, and
I don't know.
I've actually added a heart monitor to my
I
stream,
see that. Yeah. That
and
was funny to me.
there is some pretty funny moments where it's just like, um, where just when I get scared it'll spike up. But what game? Haja, were you watching me? There was a game that I was playing. Oh, I think it was Ultimex. I was playing Ultimex, and I look at my heart rate, and it was like
Like
constantly at
120.
like 112, 120. I'm just like, geez. And there are people like, what's going on with your heart? I'm just like, well, I just had 10 cups of coffee. I'm all wound up and shit.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
funny.
And so, yeah, I think, if we look at the reasons why someone should get into virtual reality, is one, your health. It could definitely improve your health. It can improve your social skills just because it'll allow you to talk to people in a comfortable area that you can actually not be there, but be there. It's a weird concept to think, but sometimes you can still hide yourself in who your personality is. Maybe you're having
I mean, not hide your
issues.
personality, but like, yeah, definitely suppress yourself to a
Yeah.
level that you're comfortable with.
But like,
You know,
a lot of people in the world sometimes they have like they're confused on like their orientation of like their sexuality of their life, and sometimes they can go in there if they want to be the person who they want to perceive to be,
yeah,
then they
yeah,
can
you can
do it.
definitely be yourself
Yeah,
in that fashion as well.
exactly.
Um, I feel like there's a lot of like, for me at least, you could dump a lot easier on random people, and a lot of people listen. Like it's a stress relief. Honest to
Hmm.
God, for those, if when you make friends, don't just dump on random people. But like,
Yeah,
but even then, people will listen then too. Like
yeah,
a lot of the communities are decent humans. A lot of them.
yeah,
Not all.
yeah. For the most part, you got to stay away from those influencer type people. They're all freaking jackwagons, but that's another story.
That's Geralt. He's the influencer he's talking
Exactly.
about.
You got to stay away from people like me because it's like I mean the good thing about VR is that yeah the community is great. I joke around about things just because I have a very competitive mindset when it comes to me, so I just pick on everybody. Um,
Mhm.
but the thing is that you can find the cool thing about virtual reality. I think they're probably like the most users of Discord. I know there are Discords for pancake games. Like there's a lot of the people like that play Destiny. Their guilds are built through Discords and communication. They even have
Yeah.
bots for it, things like that. But when it comes to virtual reality, the only way of true communication right now is becoming part of the Discord community, and not only that, but the VR games, since the studios are all indie games, unless they're bought by Facebook, they're all tight knit communities that are great
Very
to
niche.
be in. Yeah,
Very
niche.
niche.
Exactly. And so even with
That's what I love but hate. I'm gonna admit, that's what I love but hate about VR. That it's niche. If it wasn't niche, I don't think we'd have the content we do now. I think because we're niche, we have such a like drive for certain contents comparatively to like pancake gaming, where it's all pushed by media, and like um it's very political driven, we'll put it that way. So like certain games will only implement certain things. I think now we have the gamer, as the gamers have advantages.
yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, and with these the smaller communities and stuff, man, I had a thought in my head and it just pooped right out. Trying to think of it. But with the smaller communities, shit, what was I talking about? You go on with some other subject. You just like, for some reason, it just popped out in my head.
You were talking about how that VR has smaller communities compared to pancake gaming, but it's a lot more integrated with Discord than most regular games.
Yeah, it's not, man. I just went blank. I've been literally like have Rubik's cubes in my brain. I've been solving them like crazy for the past few days, and I was literally just thinking about an algorithm in my head, and I don't know why. It was weird. It was super weird.
Squirrel.
It was super
What's
weird.
up, Dead Pixel? Yeah. Speaking of servers of close knit communities, Dead Pixel server.
Oh, I remember what I was gonna say now.
Love.
I remember what I was gonna say now.
Okay, go ahead.
And so what I was saying with the community, that the cool thing about VR is that most of the people that are in them is that if a new game comes out, since it's so niche, is that when you go in there, you're just like, I know this person. You already have conversation starters because you'll see people instantly start jumping the games to try out the beta test. You're more likely to be able to actually try out a game that's new, alpha, beta, and get to see it from start to finish. And things like that. Not only that, but if you start in making content as well, the likelihood of you actually having success now is pretty likely. You know, I know probably every single person that makes content, and you know, likewise, they probably know who I am as well. And that's the cool thing. There's people that don't even make content at all, that I just know because they play every goddamn game in existence in VR, and I see them in every Discord.
I see a few people like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been around the game mill, if you will.
Yeah, and so that's the cool thing about VR to also get into, is that it is one big family. There are, like, you know, obviously there's some dark areas but in VR, but as long as you don't go looking for that or you stay away from it, it's not going to find you. That's the cool thing about it, is that you only find it
For the
when
most
you're
part.
looking for it. Yeah, I know, for the most part. And then also don't click weird links on Discord.
Yes, don't click weird links. We got, a whole official server got hacked because of it. Don't click weird links.
Yeah,
Please,
it's not good.
please,
That's the
please.
one thing wrong with Discord, is that every once in a while, what we call them at my work, they're called phishing.
Yeah,
And,
the phishing. Yeah,
and so
it's
you just,
information phishing, or like, yeah, they're trying to get anything on you.
so at all times, just know that the pretty lady or the handsome boy in your chat is not your friend, and that link.
I am your friend.
That
click my
link
links.
is just to take you over.
Click my links.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to take you over. I swear. I just
Yeah.
want you to be part of my
Click Kuss's
my
links.
my sphere.
Right.
But yeah, I think VR as a whole has a lot more on just pancake gaming. Yes, the startup cost is more, but so did pancake gaming at one point. You know?
I don't necessarily think, you know, if you want to get into the base level, which is an Oculus Quest 2, a Meta Quest 2, sorry.
Quest 1.
Gotta stop using
You
that.
can go even cheaper. You can go Quest 1.
Not anymore.
Yeah, the
they're
server's closing
dropping
down now.
dropping support for so many games.
But that means you can still use it. However, it's
Yeah,
updated.
but you're just you're buying in about like once the Quest 3 drops, I guarantee they're gonna cut all ties with it, and then it just becomes a paperweight. Which stinks. It kind of stinks, but it's good because then you know that better technology is coming out, and the reason why they can't use it is because it is just an ancient hardware. New stuff's going to come out, but you know, it is cheaper than buying a PlayStation 5. It is tremendously cheaper than buying a PlayStation 5.
Yeah, if we really want to go technical with it. It is cheaper than a PS5.
It
If you
is
buy the
cheaper
base
than an
model
Xbox.
version.
It's cheaper than a
Base.
a
Well,
PC.
yeah. Most. The only thing I don't think it's comparable to is the what is it? The Nintendo Switch. But even then,
yeah.
that's the capabilities you receive with the VR headset is a lot more than most game stations can do. Maybe not quality wise, as in like, oh, you could run games at 4K, but the experiences that you can receive from it is a lot
But
more.
you got to think that we're at the kind of I would say we're in the middle stages of the.
We're on the tipping. I think we're on the tipping edge of the start of VR. Because I think VR as a whole has been at this beginner PC stages, kind of like several years earlier, where games are coming out, everybody's trying them, and they're not finding what they want yet. We don't have a library yet. We have good quality games, right? And we have your holy shit, this is garbage games. There's no in the middle like, oh, I love that, and I'll keep playing that every day. I think it's that we don't have like the library. Like you think of 360, that was a library. You had thousands of 360 games that were good, bad, and ugly. And so like I think that's when we know we're in the middle of VR, is that we start getting a library where we have 30, 40 games that we like.
We're just the thing is with VR and we're the good thing about us talking about this is that we'll have the goods. I will 100% mostly talk about the good of VR just because my future is depending on the future of VR.
I want to talk about the bad of VR because I want people to do better.
Yeah, and so the one thing that
I'll never criticize them. That's
and so I just wanted to kind of say that out there is like most of my comments that I will ever make is for the good of VR. But when it comes to the bad side of VR is that sometimes people need to understand it. It's like I've been playing video games since the 90s, I've got to see I've got to see games come from the ground up. And the thing is that you get these newer generations of kids. A lot of times these newer kids have never even had a console, and they're the first gaming they've ever done sometimes is a Quest. And my one little thing to all the people out there,
I'd be happy. I'd be happy if everybody got Quests.
So let me finish this thought. The one thing that I want people to know is that not every game is good off the rip. There are so many AAA titles that suck at the very beginning and they become the greatest games of our generation.
Look at let me give an example. A game that is very similar to you for pancake gaming. What was the space game? Oh, I forgot it as soon as I was talking about it. It was the space game where they fucked up the launch and then they did a bunch of updates and then it came back really in a good way.
A space game?
Yeah.
It's not Andromeda, is it?
No, it wasn't VR. It's Pancake. 1 second.
Oh, it was Pancake. Space game. Let me see. Was it MMO, RPG? What was it?
Give me 1 second. I'm
All right, while you do that, I'm going to talk so we don't lose our retention here. And then also when it comes to the VR and the health of it, one thing is that right now it's just like a lot of people, if a game has an issue, the influencers also love attacking it as well, is that know your space, know the community that you're in. And the one thing I always preach on this is even listening to me, don't let me be your only opinion to VR. Please go watch other people out there. I'm not gonna name names off the top of my head or get names wrong, but you just look up VR influencers, look up VR anything. For instance, any person that comes on to this podcast, for instance, for VR Central that came on, he makes great content. Go get his opinion on
No Man's
VR.
Sky.
No Man's Sky. Yeah, that's a really good
No
game.
Man's Sky started like shit, but then over time, absolutely smashed. And they've actually
you can actually play that in VR now.
Yeah, you can. I haven't tried it, but dude, holy shit, did that game change from like launch to now.
So,
like, holy fuck.
No Man's Sky, there's a speedrunner, and there used to be a show that let the developers sit down and watch the speedrunner play their game, and someone like bypassed No Man's Sky and beat it in like 10 minutes, and they're just like, what in the world? Like, the guy did so many things. He's like, wow, we should have probably fixed this, fixed that. He goes, but we never thought anyone would find it. It's so funny watching it. But
that's a good thing, though, because they were directly okay with what happened, and they just fixed it.
For sure. Yeah, so No Man's Sky was good. But then you have games that are like were massively anticipated. Like one of the biggest games of like my middle-aged generation of growing up was like Anthem was going to be the best game of the century.
I'm so glad that died, because that was a bad game.
Servers finally shut down last year. Like, they officially are done. But like, I had so much hope for it, and I wanted it to be so good. I bought it like 2 years in advance. I was a huge follower of it, and it was just a nightmare.
It was a shitty Destiny. That's exactly what it was. Destiny already did it better.
Yeah.
If they came out with more content, because Destiny was dying at that point.
It was.
They came out with more content and better drops and et cetera, et cetera.
I think if they made it,
I think it would have been fine.
So here's the thing: they made it when MMOs were already kind of out the door anyways. Destiny is still barely living off a thread. Their content is the same content that it's been since Destiny 1. It is just repetitiveness and just completely going over and trying to reach a light level. And then you have other games that are exactly the same. Like MMOs, I think
Destiny's, I think a lot of it's too grindy. I think that's what's killing a lot of games. It's too grindy. And people
love the grind.
I love it too, don't get me wrong.
I freaking love the grind.
You have to, so like for the vaults and stuff, you have to have a whole squad. There's no solo like games like Destiny that have or looter shooters that are good.
Diablo 4 coming out June 2nd.
That's not a looter shooter, that's a looter dungeon crawler.
It is an MMORPG.
Yeah, a dungeon crawler.
I'm a dungeon crawler.
Dungeon crawlers are
crawling my dungeon, Kuss.
Sorry, this is a podcast.
Oh, sorry, I got a little spicy.
It's rated T for teen.
Rated T for teen? No, this thing says not available for children. You have to be 18 to watch this podcast.
Yeah, that's a teen. Wait a second. Kuss said something intelligent.
Wait, what the hell did you just say? So, yeah, go ahead. What was your thought?
But, like, a lot of it's kind of just dying because it's too grindy. It's you have to have too many things to be able to do this and you know, some people just want to play solo and have fun.
Yeah, but the one thing I love about VR as well is that sometimes we get the craziest trends ever. I don't know if you've seen the retention of Gorilla Tag right now. The playability is through the roof. Like
the amount of people that yell slurs in that game, though, that are like 10 years and younger, I was like, oh my god, I can't play that game.
Because they don't know how to control themselves. They're hyped up on freaking, they're chocolate wasted, flinging their arms around like a goddamn gorilla in Gorilla Tag, just freaking tickling butts in there. So they're going crazy.
Yeah.
It is literally a kid's playground.
It's their kids. Kids are socializing with, like,
dude,
that, like, not good people.
Yeah, I know. They need to probably moderate a little better. They need to do what Horizon did and have like one moderator per room, but that costs money to do that. Facebook had the money to put a moderator.
I mean, just record all voice communications and just detect a certain word being said too many times, ban the person temporarily.
Yeah, so I played Gorilla Tag one time. I did the tutorial. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm flinging my arms around. And I'm just like, I didn't know that eventually you just get into this really big room. And so I finally hop up to the room and I start hearing chatter. And all of a sudden, I just see 3 kids just go, I'm just like, this is not what I want to do after 8 hours of work, is hear a kid scream in my ear the whole time. Instantly got off of that.
That's why you mute people. God, I love that mute button. Lucas Ghost asked a question. What do you guys think about the Echo going bye-bye? So,
I have a really strong opinion on that. Go ahead.
My first thought. Okay, my first thoughts about it is, it might be a good company decision for Meta because they're downsizing and they're not making money at the moment. And so, well, with that game, they're not making a lot of money. And so they might be releasing a new game and that's why they did it. I think it's just a company decision. I think they cut it off too soon, but I they're probably going to release a new game within the next year. That's what I think it is. They just want it concentrated. They don't want to update the game. They want to just concentrate on the new game that they're making. And that's why. But go ahead, Garrett.
Okay, so here's my opinion on this whole situation. For one, it was a very good game for many years. It was one of the very first games I believe Facebook allowed to go free as well. And my one thing to a lot of developers out there is don't be purchased by Facebook. Remain the indie developing team that you are, and just know that the money will be there and you don't have to be bought out by Facebook. That's my number one thing right there, just for other people. And just for instance, like Population 1 got bought by Facebook. They are now at the point where they are free to play. There is a trend going on right now to where eventually, if they don't keep their trend up, Facebook could drop them at any point in time. It is a scary thought, but it's your risk for reward is what it's called. Your reward is the money that you got up front. They got millions of dollars from Facebook. The risk is they could be shut down at any point in time, just like Echo did. Echo was not the devs' decision to do, but also what Facebook noticed is that the developing team that a lot of people don't know was not the original team that made Echo. The people that were in Echo developing were only making the cosmetics. There was no upgrades or anything being fixed. That's why it still had its issues, because their whole development team were making fucking Gorilla Tag. And so that's where they all went. And so they had no team unless they wanted to bring it in. But Facebook wasn't giving them enough money to bring in new developers for new ideas. So eventually what would happen, as much as Echo was writing on all of the leagues that they had, they had the Pro Series that is now that died. They had other leagues as well. You had VRML that was running stuff. It sucks that was lost time, lost money, and a lot of really good players that I got to watch on the Pro Series stuff. They had talent and they had future. But
Pavlov got an influx of people from Echo. I know that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of games shot their shot when that game closed down. But the thing is that I don't necessarily think that Facebook had to shut it down. They could have designated a server for it, but eventually what was going to happen is that game was slowly dying. It's why they shut it down, is because they saw the
it wasn't making money.
Even though you saw your community play it, that community at times, if was not relevant or if the season was coming to an end, their playability was none. So load times, newer people coming in weren't getting the ability to play with players anymore because it was just longer load times. But the newer season, new gear comes out, you see people. But Facebook wasn't having it. Speaking of leagues, what do you think about the Vertical Shift League?
I don't know much about it.
I love Vertical Shift. I love Ben. He's a great guy. He made a great game. They just had one of their tournaments this past week. I think that Vertical Shift has a future. It is very esports-like. It is very fast and intensive. If you want to sweat, play Vertical Shift. I've actually had Ben on twice. I had him on the very first time, which was one of my very first podcasts I ever did when it was just me back in, 2020, 2021 when I started this podcast. And then I had him on for a second time for the tournaments and talked about how these tournaments work. I think that it's healthy. I think Ben has a good head on his shoulders, and so we'll see. It's not bought by Facebook.
I like their casters. Their casters are really good for them.
Their casters are very good. Ben's usually the caster for them.
Yeah.
And so, is the biggest thing that I tell people, if you want a successful game...
4 minutes till the hour, by the way.
Okay, thank you. The biggest thing for VR and smaller communities is they got to understand that they're not AAA, they're not Pancake, they don't have millions of people that are going to sit there and play it. Like if a new Diablo just dropped, they had millions of people play. A new VR game drops, you are lucky to get 1,000 people playing it. And so when a game releases, what developers need to sit down and understand is, one, the price point of VR and make your money in the masses, or learn to sell it for free and make money in cosmetics, because that's how they make money. A lot of old school developers don't think that cosmetics is where it is. Start selling cosmetics.
It is.
And then
H3 VR is a good representation because H3 VR is one maker, one dev, and he still puts out a lot of content. But
yeah, and then also is that if you're making a game that you want to be popular, you need it to be the ability to understand what esports is, how the formatting of an esports works, if the game would even be available for it, get people that play esports to beta test your game, and then already have, this is one thing that Breachers did good, is that in their alpha stage, they already had a very well working ability to cast. If a game is not able to cast and they want it to be in an esports scene, it will die instantly, and that's what happened to Larcenauts. Larcenauts not fully dead, but the reason why the esports scene never lifted off is because they would not give us a tool to actually show people what Larcenauts is. That game could have been so freaking popular if they would have just listened to the community and made a casting tool and allowed someone to cast those matches. Because the biggest thing right now is influencing someone to play a game. So media is essential. That's why of 2023, I switched how I run the esports team, is that, yeah, we do have good teams. We try and have really good teams. But my main focus is right now is let my teams do what they do. We'll bring new ones in. But my focus right now is making media. That's why I opened up our stream team. I'm trying to get as much streamers to come in and show content. It helps them and it helps us. We're helping each other grow.
And hopefully when VR is discovered, we have this whole network already. And we could just say, hey, look at all our content that we have already.
Correct. We tied with Lord's team one game. Yeah, Lord is Havoc. So, yeah, I mean, very good player.
We have 2 Vert Shift teams.
Yeah, we have 2. Yeah. I got to update the roster.
Incarnate, and what's the other one? Hellfire?
No, Hellfire is Ultimax.
Yeah.
Hold on, they just posted their new roster because I got.
They're both. We knew.
So they gave me their new roster today, which I have to update the website. So be ready for a new website, by the way, people. So other than that, we have we have 6 minutes left of the show, so let's kind of go into our wrapping discussion of things. So just for a fun little thing, what are you doing for Easter?
I'm going on vacation.
Oh yeah, you told me that.
Yeah, going to Florida.
So we still would be planning on doing so. Like I said, my Sunday podcast will probably be moved. Either 1, canceled, or 2, will just be on Saturday. I have not decided yet. It depends on how my Saturday works. I'm traveling Sunday, so it all depends on what I get done on Saturday. Most likely I'll do it on Saturday. I don't know what game I'm going to do yet. For summer, I got my dates mixed, and so in 2 weeks I'll be doing a Sunday spotlight on Breachers when it launches. And then Monday we will still do a podcast, and so Kuss may or may not be there. He's going to try and be there if he can get away from his family for an hour to do this podcast. If not, then he just needs to tell me soon, Kuss. You need to tell me if you're going to be able to either try, because then I'll try at least to get a guest on.
I'll know Thursday.
Okay, because then at least I'll try and find a substitute for someone to come on here, so you don't have to see my face single in here mumbling about dumb shit you probably don't care about. So yeah,
I'll get you a bot. I'll get you an AI bot that'll act as me. How about that?
Yeah, get what is it, GPT whatever it is. Just have me talk to a robot for an hour, or I can just solve a Rubik's Cube in front of you guys. See how many times I can solve a Rubik's Cube in an hour.
You die from boredom.
Die of boredom? Oh man. Yeah. But I think
well, with that, I think we should wrap up by just saying that overall in virtual reality, I think we have a lot more that we offer as a guys do competitive first. Oh, besides that, so like VR as a whole, just in general, has a lot more capabilities than Pancake Gaming and more personability than just playing, Pancake is in to war or anything else. So I think VR is the future, of course, and that investing into it not only gets you prepared for, the bigger and better stuff that's going to come out, but eventually it's going to be the only thing. It's going to be virtuality. It's not good, Blixie.
Blue! Blixie! I call him Blue. His name's Blue. It used to be Blue, and he named him Blixie now. And so I got to remember to call him Blixie instead of Blue. Because if you have ever watched the movie Old School, I was really having fun calling him Blue. You're my boy, Blue. Freaking, have you ever seen Old School? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. So, all right, so we'll wrap this up. I hope everyone has a happy, healthy Easter, safe travels if you're going Easter. Anywhere. Even for people, if you got, nothing to do and you don't feel like traveling, and just for the sake of this podcast, get into VR chat, hang out with people. You don't have to spend Easter alone. You can get in a VR headset. That's a great thing about it, is that you are literally one motion away to open your eyes to a whole world out there that you don't even have to leave your house. You can be butt naked Easter Sunday in your birthday suit playing,
Typical VR things for me.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, Blixie, you can just rewind this. I hope you like it. I hope everyone, if you never experienced VR, at least try it once. And I do agree that it is not always for everybody, but also it takes time to get your what they call VR legs. Don't just play it for one day and be like, I don't like the way I feel. It took me about a week to kind of acclimate to my brain understanding. A lot of people don't. It took me about a week, and now I have no problems. So just take time. Take it easy. Don't let someone put you on an elevator and put you 30 floors up on a plank and you bust your grandma's tooth out. Or, something.
One other important note I would like to say: if anybody doesn't have any family or anything, and you're having a bad time, don't feel free to text me on Discord in the general, and don't feel alone.
Yeah,
reach out to us. We're here.
Yeah, and so I hope everyone liked this version of the VR jungle. I was just like, Kuss, let's talk about how we got into VR. Let's talk about why to get into VR. And so we'll see what next week comes, and we'll see how Easter was. But other than that, we'll end it. Thank you, everyone.
Right,
thank Lucas Ghost. Thanks, Hasha. Thanks, Dead Pixel. And thanks, Blixie, for showing up at the end of the show. Hasha Wolf. I'm playing with you, Ghosted Boar, next tomorrow, Haja. We'll play that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll play someday. All right, Kuss, safe travels, everybody. See you later. Wave at the camera. See y'all on Sunday, maybe Monday. Who knows? See ya.
We'll see.